This week, we're going to talk about living in Florida. Is it good, bad, or just different? We're getting after that next. Hey everybody, my name's Craig Cunha. I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida, and if you're looking for a channel to tell you a little bit more about what it's like to live, play, eat, sleep, and buy real estate on the Gulf Coast, this is the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the little bell to make sure you're notified every time a new video comes out, and go ahead and start on the website. If you want to do a property search and want the most accurate results, you can go to ournextfloridahome.com and get started there. I'm getting calls from people every single day, and I love it. And if you've got a question that you need a specific answer to, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast. Okay, so I've got 2 more days with this guy, and then he goes back in a box. Yeah, I'm a 50% parent, so at least it's not every single night for me, but my goodness, this elf thing, it's got to stop. Pretty soon I think he's going to know that Santa's not really there. I think he has an inkling already. He's asking a bunch of questions, but hey, we'll play it out for as long as we can. Pitch this guy out to the side. Anyway, on to this whole topic of Florida. And is it good, bad, or just different? And I'm going to say there's a lot of things that are good. Well, we could sit here and talk about the weather all day long. That's a great thing. We can talk about the humidity and the heat and the nastiness. That's a bad thing, but it's just different. It really is. And 2022, it's not going to be much different when we're talking about real estate. Because all indications right now are saying we are still behind the 8 ball. We are still low inventory. We're still going to have very competitive interest rates, although they're talking about 3 rate hikes in this coming year. And we're starting to see a lot of buyers' remorse in not actually buying when they should have. Not the remorse of doing it and then wishing they didn't. It's just the opposite. They wish they would have done it then. And now they're starting to say, well, I can't pay $100,000 more for something I could have bought a year ago. Well, if you don't, you could be saying, man, I could have saved that $50,000 if I would have done it 6 months ago. So if it's affordable today, it's affordable tomorrow. Go ahead, lock it in, get it while you can. It's just what the market's going to be. If you truly want to be here, I'm having so many conversations about this topic, and we're going to be touching on something that's going on here in Florida that's pretty wild considering it's fallen on this coast. So if you're thinking about the West Coast, you got to stay tuned for it. So I was on the phone with Justin the other day, and we're talking about that whole process of moving. And he's going to sell a house up north, and he's going to buy down here. And, people are like, man, I really wish I would have bought last year or 6 months ago. And I said, yeah, but Justin, you didn't sell last year or 6 months ago either. So guess what? The money you're paying extra down here, you're making on the home back north. So it really is a wash. But can you put a value on the lifestyle that you're going to change? And he said, absolutely not, because it's priceless for a number of reasons. Whether it's because you don't agree with the politics back home, whether it's the weather that you want, whether it's you're remote working so it doesn't matter where you need to be anymore. There's numerous reasons why people are making these changes. And Florida is just that destination that can offer you a whole lot if you're willing to give it a chance. And you're willing to overlook how the market has shifted so far. Now, Redfin did a report. I don't know if you had seen this, but the top growing or top selling cities across the nation, 8 of them are in Florida. 7 of them are in Southwest Florida. So you want to talk about things going absolutely wild on this West Coast. And there's a bunch of reasons why you're going to want to be on the West Coast. If you're into boating, had this conversation earlier today with a captain, and we were talking about just the difference in the waters from the East Coast to the West Coast. The East Coast can get really rough, and the waters are really cold. So if you want somewhere where you can just cruise around to sandbars and you can just stay on the intercoastal, you can just hang out, the waters are much calmer on the West Coast, and it's going to give you the ability to go many more places. As you may have heard, Cape Coral is the waterfront wonderland, 400 miles of canals, most canals of anywhere in the world. So how can you beat that if boating is your thing? But boating's not always your thing. It's full of beaches too. Lots of waterfront dining, lots of outdoor entertainment. And remember, our entertainment, when I say outdoors, it's year-round. So we don't have to hunker down and stay in front of a fireplace and crank up the heat. We don't do those things. And if you're going to say to me that, yeah, but it's so hot in the summertime, I couldn't handle it. Yeah, you can. That's why we have air conditioning. You get in the air conditioning, you jump in the pool, you go out to the beach and get those coastal breezes or jump in the water. It's all taken care of. It's just a little bit different. As we said in the beginning, it's different, not good or bad. Now in those 7 cities, it's everything from Sarasota to Englewood, Venice, Northport, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, all the way down to Fort Myers. So every one of these cities that are littered between those 2 main cities of Sarasota and Fort Myers, they're going to be seeing exponential growth. And a lot of it's because of that water access I just mentioned, and the fact that there's still room to grow. So the prices might still be a little bit lower in these areas than the bigger cities, but if you want to secure your piece of paradise in Florida, especially in Southwest Florida, if we're already seeing that we're the top selling place, you might want to get on that boat sooner than later. I had another call this week. Someone was asking me about moving to Florida without a job. Okay, moving without a job is tough, obviously. If you're moving with the same kind of job or the same company, that is a blessing. Absolutely. We'll help you 100%. But if you're coming down without a job, you're going to need to establish. Now, if you're in the same field of work, it's going to be a lot easier to establish. You'll probably need a few weeks of paychecks in order for the mortgage broker to be able to help you out. I've got a guy, so if you want to talk to somebody about the parameters of what it'll take for your situation, let me know. I'll get you the information to help you get started on that path. But coming to Florida with no job, with a job, or even coming seasonally, they're all going to represent different challenges. And that's going to be a case-by-case search for us. So if you come to me saying you're looking for a seasonal or vacation rental or even an investment property, you're going to have a little bit different experience because you're going to be qualifying off of what your standards are right now, your current incomes, your current debts. Nothing's changing. So we're going to use that. If you sell a home up north, obviously you're getting rid of debt, so that opens up some area for you to purchase down here. Just have to be able to show how you're going to pay it back. And we'll handle all that once you make the decision that you're going to move to Florida. Now this week we had an event happen in our area just a couple days ago. A cold front was coming through and the winds were like hurricane force winds. The gusts were up in the 70-mile-an-hour range. We did have a lot of shingles rip off of roofs, trees put down. My power went out for about 2 hours. But they did have that fixed within the day, so no big issue there. It's not normal for that to happen to us, but it just brings up a topic that we deal with every time a hurricane comes through. Thankfully, it's been a number of years since that's happened, but contractors, roofers, all kinds of businessmen that repair things will come out and try to get contracts to fix and repair your home. So you need to do your due diligence and ask a lot of questions. You want estimates in writing. You want contracts in writing. You want to see license and insurances. You want to know that they're pulling the permit, not you. You do not want to pay for this in cash up front to get a discount. Just pay it no more than 50% up front. Pay the other after the job is done and the permit has been closed. Make sure the inspections are done and the permits are closed. Otherwise, if you leave a permit open, you're going to be responsible to make sure all the boxes were checked to get it closed later. These are just a couple considerations to make if you had some damage and you need to have things fixed. Now, one of the things that we're seeing here is an increase in traffic. And yes, I've talked about this many times over, and we're going to talk about more traffic issues that have popped up a little bit later. But one of the things that you may want to consider is, and I'm not very good at this, my other half is really good at this, I'm trying to get better, but making a list of things that you're going to do when you leave the house, or a list of things that you need to get while you're out. Because once you get through this traffic, you're not going to want to come back home and go back out again. It's just not going to be a great experience for you. Yes, it's getting that busy. Yes, there are some infrastructure things that are still being worked on. You're seeing lots of sidewalks and things being put in. We're seeing construction in a lot of different areas. Burnt Store Road is still expanding. So it's going to free a number of things up. And the back roads I noticed yesterday, I thought I'd escape all this and hit another back road, go all the way up to Kismet on the north side of Cape Coral. And lo and behold, both lanes up there in each direction, we've got dump trucks and we've got delivery trucks and we've got a ton of cars. So even the shortcuts, you're going to be challenged finding good ways in and around. But make the list before you leave so that you're not having to run back and forth. Now, once you've gotten your stuff at the store, let's just say that you're somebody that you wanted your ice cream and the eggs and the milk and all the things. You're going to be doing lots of cooking and baking and stuff. If you put this in your car and you experience those delays, there's one thing you're going to wish you had. Either a cooler or an insulated bag. I've got 2 insulated bags. You get these at Sam's Club or a number of other places, but it allows these cold items to stay in your car longer without either melting or spoiling. Get a cooler, get an insulated bag, or you will regret it at some point. I promise. Okay, another traffic issue. We now are starting to see a bunch of roundabouts. I noticed that where I'm seeing a lot of roundabouts is up in the Port Charlotte area. And you know what? If you know how to use them, they work great. And on a motorcycle, love it. That's like riding the twisties. So we look forward to that. But people still don't know how to use a roundabout. So here's a little diagram. And the one thing that I can tell you is you don't want to be C. You can't sit and wait and dissect this whole process. It's should be easier than a 4-way stop, but that's why these were made, because 4-way stops were so confusing for so many people. If you don't get that part down, this is going to be challenging too. But look at this diagram, read it really good, and you'll see that as long as you're not C and you pay attention to what's happening, what's coming at you, and where you're going, you should be able to get in and out of one of these relatively easily. But it is going to be a new thing that's coming, if it's not there already, to help the flow of traffic. So get it down if you don't have it down. Golf carts in our area, obviously, we're known as a golfing state. Everybody thinks that they're asking, should I have a golf cart? Can I have a golf cart? You can have a golf cart in many, many areas. If you're in a gated community, you're going to have to check the rules and regulations. All bets are off on that one. Cape Coral is very much, the majority of it is not HOA run. So there are no rules and regulations per se. You can still get some flack from law enforcement. These are not street legal vehicles. So if you do not have headlights, it's not street legal. If you don't have turn signals, it's not street legal. So you need to get those things added on, and you need to register the vehicle like you would anything else. If you do those things, you can take this vehicle on the road. So if you live, say, down by Cape Harbor and you just want to roll into one of the restaurants down there on your golf cart, go ahead. You've got a licensed vehicle with the lights and turn signals, so go wherever you want. But that's what you're going to have to do if you start getting flack. Usually you can get away with it once or twice, but if you just want to avoid the trouble altogether, go ahead and get it registered, make yourself legal. These traffic things, we've talked about the riding slow in the left lane and not getting right and all these fun things. We've talked about the speeders and going through red lights and all that. The one thing that plays into this whole scenario and what causes a lot of impatience is if you are driving under the speed limit, you are actually becoming a hazard. So if that's your driving style, either find some side roads to ride on, or get yourself all the way right unless you have to turn a short time down the road. But this is where a lot of grief is caused. You're jamming up that left lane, everybody's getting impatient, they're swerving in and out of traffic trying to get around you, when it would be so easy just to slide right and get out of the way. In this time of year, with Christmas a couple days away, we have a unique challenge that I'm now faced with. I don't know if I want to pull up the decorations that are in the front yard to mow the lawn and then put them back down again, or do I just let it stay the way it is and mow it after I pull up all the decorations? I am in a little bit of a conundrum. It's so frustrating because I want it to look nice, but I don't want to have to reset everything. So that's our challenge. No, we don't have snow. Yes, it's going to be green the whole time, but that green continues to grow and gives us a whole nother set of problems. So again, good, bad, or different. Yeah, this is another one that's different. One thing that you'll see people talking about on forums here, and this is actually a pretty serious thing because we grow many fruit trees around this area, and you will see mango trees in particular in many areas. And when they get big and full and plump, they're very enticing. So if you're a mango person, word of caution. Most people around here, if they're willing to give out these mangoes when they're still good and fresh before they hit the ground and start to rot, they'll put a basket out front in their yard. They might advertise on Facebook. They might put it out to neighbors, bulletin boards, whatever, to say it's okay to come get the fruit off the trees. Don't just walk on somebody's property and pick the fruit. It's a huge no-no here. And I know that in many areas you might get away with it because everybody likes to kind of share what they have. But remember, we're a huge melting pot from all over the country, actually all over the world. And we have different ways of doing things. And I'm just going to say, ask permission. Don't just step on that property and grab the fruit. Now, if you want the fruit, what you can do is go to all these many fruit stands that we have here, and vegetable stands and farmers markets, especially this time of year when we're getting into season. There's farmers markets everywhere. Cape Coral has them, Fort Myers has them, Estero has them, Punta Gorda has them. You'll always find a farmers market, and there's going to be one just about every day of the week. So go ahead and schedule it out. Get on Facebook, search up farmers markets. You'll find out if you get on these community pages, a lot of people are willing to share this information because they feel like they're the know-all source of information and they want to share it with everybody. So just ask a couple questions, find out where you can go, and you'll take care of your fruit and vegetable fix. The other thing that you don't want to do, we talked about not picking the fruits off of trees. You don't want to start parking your car in a neighbor's driveway because you know they're gone for the summertime coming into season. If you don't ask permission, don't do it. Don't assume you can just use their property that way. There's a lot of people, I've been seeing posts about that too. They're ticked off. They're like, who's parking in my driveway? I come up to enjoy my home. I can't even get in my garage because somebody's parked their car there. Again, it's all about courtesy. If you're courteous to your neighbors, they'll be courteous back. Another new thing that's going on for me is that I'm playing pet sitter for a very dear friend, and this wonderful, wonderful little animal is so adorable, and I love the girl, but I'm also scared for her. She's so tiny. And then I start thinking about, okay, in my backyard, I've got coyotes and I've got eagles and there's osprey out there. And we've got even cats that run around the neighborhood, and there's some pretty large cats. So don't laugh at that one. A cat will take down a small dog. There's gators, there's snakes, there's all kinds of things that are out there that could mess with this little dog. So I'm finding myself now wanting to share this with you. If you're a small pet owner, you cannot just let them out in like a little pen. You cannot let them out on one of those long leashes to run around the yard or even run around a fenced-in yard, because it would take no time for an eagle or osprey or hawk to drop into that yard and pluck that thing out. And now you are going to be grief-stricken because your part of the family is no longer there. So pay attention when you're outside with your little furry friends to make sure that they don't become victims. Another thing that you'll hear in the forums is that people don't want to hear about how you did things from where you're from. Whether your processes were different than they are here, you wish it was this way, you wish it was that way, we really don't care, because this is the way we do it here. So much like going to another country and you learn their language, well, you come to this part of the country and learn the customs and the way things are done here. Also, we don't really want to hear about whether the food that you're eating now is less desirable than where you're from. Because again, it doesn't matter. These are the choices that we have. You can ask for people's opinions of where to go if you want a certain style of food, but don't start putting down what these things are, because they won't be exactly like they are back home. Do the best you can to find what is similar to what's from home, but again, most people don't want to hear about how it's not like back home. On this same topic, many of our smaller communities, Pine Island, Punta Gorda, parts of Port Charlotte, Northport, these smaller communities, they're a little more tightly knit and people talk. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to share your business, don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself, because those kinds of things, if they get out to the wrong people, can spread like wildfire. It's just what it is, kind of like living in a gated community. Lots of people know each other. Once they start knowing your business, it's no longer just your business. Well, that's just a little bit more about living in Florida. And again, whether it's better or worse or just different, it really is just different. If you've got any other questions about what it's like to be here, live here, move here, check out one of these other videos. And if you have a specific question that you need an answer to, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.